Hey besties, welcome in. I'm Sabrina and this is Sabrina Reads and Roams, where I mostly read, but I sometimes roam, aka I go on unglamorous business trips, but sometimes I do both at the same time. Like I just take my books on my business trips with me, because what rational person would not? Anyway, I'm so glad that you're here because I upload new videos every single week. So let's get into this video. We're going to talk about what I read in April. So for the month of April, I told myself to cool it on the number of books that I read, and I read 9. So that's pretty good for me. I have my notes here with me on my phone from when I was reading. First up was one of my library books, Stasia Stark's A Court This Cruel and Lovely. So I'll just say, like right off the bat, I loved this book. But there were some issues in this world. The people, when they are born, they give away their magic. They like siphon it into a little stone somewhere. And they don't get it back until they're 25 or 25 winters have passed. They only get back a small portion of their magic. The rest of the magic belongs to the king. So now the king does give out more magic to his favorites, but those are only like people that live in the capital. I'm assuming like the lords and ladies of the land, whatever. And so basically if you are caught with magic before you've reached 25 winters, that's like immediate death by the hand of the king's guard. Okay, so that's kind of the premise of the story. And so of course our main girl has powers. She's not the only one. There are other people who have powers, and they shouldn't have them because they haven't reached 25 winters, or they have too much power, and it's like not the amount that I guess the king deemed was appropriate. So there are people, and so our girl is on the run after basically being found out. And so she's on the run. The story takes place where she meets a band of mercenaries and they are traveling to the capital. They're gonna have an elaborate scheme to, I don't know, kill the king, get the powers back, whatever the plan's going to be. And so that is where the first book in this series takes place. I believe there are 4 books. I think there's 4. So the first book is really like all of that. And there is a situation that happens. I don't want to give spoilers, so I'm saying like there's a situation that happens that kind of like ramps up the ante of the story and gets us somewhere. But like I feel like throughout the first book we didn't go anywhere really. It was really world building, it was backstory building. It did a decent job of that, but we didn't really do too much until like the last like 10 pages, and then it ends on a cliffhanger. So from my notes, I first talked about how there's out of place language. So if it were in our world, it would very clearly be like medieval or whatever. It's not current day. It's not an urban fantasy. But then when I encounter urban language, I'm always caught off guard. So one quote that was in there was, it said, "A mercenary's got a mercenary." Bro, what year is it? It's a thing that like pulls me out of the reading of the story, and like it's something that just, a lot of authors do it. I don't think I agree with that writing style is the problem. I personally do not agree with that writing style. You may love it, and I love that for you. But for me, it kind of stops the story for me, and then I have to kind of like regain my composure. So that was one of the small issues that I had with the book. Another issue that I had was it was a little bit repetitive. So like the writing just was repetitive, and I was like, girl, we already talked about this, like let's move forward. And I think for as long as the book was, it didn't need to be that long. It was just we just kept saying the same thing over and over again, and that's what made it even longer. So I think it could have been a shorter book. That being said, I thought it was fantastically written, and I flew through it. And I think it's really funny because I kept saying, oh, this is such a bingeable book. Like it's not like a great literary work of art, but it's bingeable, and I want to keep reading it, and I want to keep reading it really quickly. And I flipped to the beginning of the book to look at the world map, and apparently it's like published by like Bingeable Books Inc. or something like that. I don't know, but I thought that was kind of cute and very on point. So they did a really good job of finding their target there with the Bingeable Books. And it is a library book, so I've already returned it, so I don't have it to show. But it was kind of a chunky book, and I enjoyed reading it start to finish. My other notes, and this is where we'll get into minor spoilery territory. It's not going to give away the story for you. It's not going to ruin anything, but it just might clue you into some things a little bit before you were ready to get into them. If you have not read this book yet, so just fair warning. Fast forward to this spot if you want to miss all of this altogether. But other notes, I said, oh, not our guy being a prince. A fae-ish prince at that. I should have known. Yeah, if you know what that means, you know what that means. I'm not gonna do deep spoilers, okay? It's just like light surface spoilers. I also wrote at the end of it, I said, the writing wasn't great, but I still loved it. I doubt this will hold a flame to Throne of Glass in the long run. And then my one other thing, I mentioned this in my reading vlog. He called her Wildcat. Ew. That's not, ew. It's been probably 3 weeks since I read that book. I'm still bothered by the fact that he kept calling her Wildcat. Like, that was supposed to be like a cutesy little name, and I'm disgusted by it. Anyway, A Court This Cool and Lovely, I gave it 4 stars. It was good. It was bingeable. I wanted to read it. I want to read more. Then I listened to In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros. In the Likely Event is a story of a guy and a girl who meet on an airplane. There's a disaster situation, and then they kind of go through phases in their life where they're together and then they're not together, but they're not really together, and like it's not the right time to be together. And kind of like the recurring thing in this book is like they love each other desperately. They're totally meant to be. They're soulmates. But the guy keeps saying, it's not the right time yet. I want to be able to give you everything. He's in the military. And for him, somehow being deployed means he can't give her everything. Bestie, there are tons of men who are deployed around the world right now as we speak, unfortunately. And they still have women at home. They still have spouses at home. They still have men at home who they love unconditionally. That's not a reason to make someone who you love and who loves you to the depths of this earth wait, okay? You can be married while you're in the military. Miss me with that, my guy. And I also went on a rant about that in another video. So I'm not going to do a whole rant about it again, but just miss me with that. Like, if you want to be with me and you want to give me your all, give me the all that you have. It's for me to decide if it's enough or not. So that was a huge problem for me with the character in the book. Not necessarily the book, but the character in the book. It was just annoying. Like, my guy, please, we get it, okay? So where the story picks up is they meet up in Kabul, like after 10 years of back and forth, and then she's like now engaged to some other dickhead congressman, whatever, who comes from old money, you know the type. And it's this like intense thing because he gets assigned to be her security detail. So it's like this intense yearning for a whole book, and we kind of like replay what happens throughout the years of them like trying to get together, and I just get more and more pissed off at him as the book progresses. Okay, that is what happened. That's how that works. So let's look at my notes. So I said this is a cute but not gripping story, and I'm already 60% of the way through. I don't know, maybe it's the shifting perspectives that are not giving enough to make me care about either character deeply. I just was like, I can't believe I'm still listening to this book because it wasn't giving me enough to make me care. And we would get to like emotional things, and I'm like, all right, cool, good for you. Sorry that happened to you, or whatever, you know? So that was 60% of the way through the book. My very next note, it says, okay, 75% in, and it pulled me in. So for me, if you've read this book already, I did not get pulled in until they told us what happened in New York. That's not a spoiler for anybody. It's not a spoiler. When they told us what happened in New York is when I was like, I am in it. Let's get this story going. So I wanted that to have happened earlier. Yeah. The other thing that really, really just like cemented it for me that I do actually like this book was light spoiler. Fast forward if you don't want the light spoiler. It will not destroy the book for you. But it was when we found out why he left her at the airport. Emotional damage. I loved the last quarter of the book. The first 3 quarters I could have done without. I didn't need them. I didn't need them. Is this how Rebecca Yarros books are? Am I gonna feel this way in like Fourth Wing? Is she a different fantasy writer than any other genre? I don't know. Haven't read Fourth Wing yet. And so anyway, in the likely event, I gave it a 3-star. It had good feelings for me at the very end, but we took too long to get there. Your guy's a douche. In the likely event that you want to read this book, it's a 3-star. Moving on to Dissemblance. And here's what I decided just this morning as I was remembering that I needed to film this video because it's now a new month. I don't like this book. Dissemblance is a book about, I guess, a man who is doing all kinds of terrible things in his marriage. His wife, she's having a full-on mentee B, and we don't really know what is happening. It's kind of unreliable narrator style. We see crazy things happening, and also the editing of the book did not happen. I'm 30% of the way through this book. So one, it did hit me in the infertility feels, so thanks for that. For a book that I don't even like, I probably just could have skipped all of that nonsense. The drama didn't seem to really help. It's used as a reason for a lot of things going on, but it's just kind of like info dumped on you. There's no actual thing that makes you believe that to be true other than because the author told you that that's the case. At one point, it said, "the sound of muffled sounds." And then 2 sentences later, describing the same scene, it says, "the first thing Amy noticed was the sound." Okay, so this is the soundiest sounding sound that ever sung, I guess, because we keep talking about the sound. What is the sound of muffled sounds? Wouldn't it just be a muffled sound? Jesus, be an editor, please, because there's also marital and revenge. And it's not that I was triggered by that, but why? Why was that at all necessary for the story? I think that literary works definitely should not shy away from trauma and crisis, but there needs to be a reason for it, not just casually dipping it in there, right? There's no, I mean, again, I'm only 30% into the book, but there's not really a reason for the assault. It's just a thing that happened to tell you that this is a bad person. And the crazy thing is, I'm not even talking about the guy. She is the one who committed the marital, and then he did the revenge. I started at about 20%. I started to just edit the book for our author. And then I never went back to it. I never opened it up because you know what I figured out today is I have 280 something books that I want to read. So there's no point for me to force myself to read a book that I do not like. Okay, so I am just, as of this morning, I've decided, well, DNF Dissemblance. I'm not going to read it. It's terrible. So I don't rate books that I DNF because you can't give 0 stars. It doesn't, at this point, it doesn't have any redeeming qualities for me. So we will just move on from Dissemblance and we'll never talk about it again. Okay? We might have to talk about it at the end of the year because I have a feeling it'll probably be the worst book that I've read all year. You can always count on me to have honest opinions of books here. Okay? Then I read A Broken Blade by Melissa Blair. I will say that this probably should have been on my shelf for what I read this month, but it's not, because this is what happened, besties. I got this book from the library. And if you remember my library video, I actually got this one and the second one, but I checked out the second one first and then I had to go back for the first one because I'm dumb and didn't know the publication order and didn't bother Googling it either. So this is a library book, but here's the thing. I love this book so much that I needed a trophy, a shelf trophy for it. And I went and bought the whole series. Okay. I do not make a habit of buying shelf trophies. Like, I'm not oh, that one was good, I'm gonna get it. Like, for me, it truly has to be an impactful book. That being said, this is a fantasy. It is written by an author of color. Love that. The female main character She is older. She's 60. I mean, she's a fey 60. So not like she's not ancient and feeble, but she's 60. So she's not 19. Love that, because I don't understand why we're trusting the world to 19-year-old little girls all the time. Okay. That's crazy to me. She's 60. She has issues. She's lived a life and she's working through the issue. There were the light fae, the dark fae, the elves, and magic was taken away. A human king came and like stormed the empire and basically like claimed all the land for himself. And we don't really know what happened in this book, but all the magic that was left in the land is disappearing. And so Kira is our main girl, and she serves as the king's blade. So she's the top echelon of the king's people. And underneath her is the, oh, what do they call them? It's not the artillery. It's the, like, you know, because he's got the blade, the dagger, So anyway, they're all underneath her. And then underneath them are the shades. And those are all the halflings, because this is the halfling saga. They are halflings who have been captured and are considered property of the king. And they just simply live their lives training to be an assassin for the king. So Kira's the head of that. She's lived a life. She is struggling with alcoholism. So if that's a trigger for you, it may not be the book for you, but I want to be sensitive about this because I'm not a person who's struggled with alcoholism. So I don't know, with substance abuse at all. So I don't know how this actually feels to be someone who has had to deal with substance abuse. But for me, in my limited perspective, I appreciate that there are actual real world consequences to her having been someone who her own people on behalf of her job as the king's blade, because it's do that or it's die herself, and someone else will do it anyway. And so she kind of takes on the idea of being the merciful assassin. The story is to do with a threat to the king and her finding who that threat is. And then we get into some found family stuff. We get into the history of her alcoholism. We get into how we're going to stop the king. So that's the general story of this series. It's a 4-book series. In A Broken Blade, the first one, according to my notes, I said, okay, I like it. I like it. I really do. I picked it up because it's an author of color, because the FMC is older, because it deals with alcoholism. And I just felt like I wanted something that was a little bit different, even though it's still fantasy. Okay, it's time for some spoilers. So fast forward to this point if you're going to read this and you don't want it spoiled, okay? I said it is also super obvious to me that the king's bastard half-face son is the mystery Robin Hood guy. I clocked Killian as the shadow right off the jump. I was like, bro is up to something, right? Like, he's got to be this. It's not, yeah. I was like, gotcha. The other note that I wrote is that the romance in this was kind of flat. I did think it was a romantasy, but the romance was kind of flat and it wasn't really making me a believer. I said I hope that it will improve in following books, but maybe that's just the romance of older people, right? So we no longer have this 1,000-year-old man who can't possibly live another moment of his life without the love of his life, who also is like prepubescent. Okay, so I mean, she's 16, she's 17, he's 1,029, and he's like, there's nothing he could do besides yearn for this woman. And she's stupid because she's never had real love before, and she's like, of course this is my soulmate. Like, that's not happening here. And so maybe the lack of that, maybe because it's a mature romance that has time to build, it just feels different, and maybe that's why it's not pulling me in, because it's not my expectation of fantasy. But again, I like this because it is different from the typical fantasy. So for this, I did give it a 4-star, even though I loved it so much I trophied it. Oh, I forgot one note. Right after I said I'm so into this book, I said, bro, not the just one bed trope. There is nothing I can stand left. This is why I gave it 4 stars. The just one bed. Does every inn only have just one bed left? Come now. And then it's like, oh, I'm not going to make you sleep on the floor. And it's like, I couldn't possibly sleep in the bed with you. Stop it. Just effing do it already, you guys. Or can we get more beds? in Fantasyland? Why is there a shortage of beds? Where did the bed maker go? Is he out at war? Did he die? Why are there no more beds? I need more beds, okay? Right after that, I read book 2, A Shadow Crown, because I also had that from the library before I went and purchased it. So this is book 2, same story, keep going. This one, my first note, so good I forgot I was reading it. Yo, I was into this. The stakes are getting higher in this book, obviously. I'm not going to tell you anything of what happens in this story because I don't want to like spoil book 1 that we literally just talked about. But the stakes are getting higher. And then here's some of my out of context notes. Banishment? Fucking Tarvel. Are these two gonna or not? How many times can we feel his hardness on her thigh and him have an existential crisis about whatever, and then like decline to bone her? She said she wants it. Please just take it, my guy. Are you serious? I'm being dramatic because I do love a slow burn, but like, bro, why are you like this? Get up in there, please. Okay, so here is a little bit of spoiler, not for the whole series or not for book 1, but just a little bit for this book. I said that the moment that they split up to go kill the king is the moment that my heart finally actually ached for the coupledom. Okay, I was a tear was shed because that was a lot. That was too much for me, besties. I will say that I feel like the last 10% of this book went unedited. It kind of got like really distracting right as the stakes of the story got really, really high. And I had to keep rereading parts to mentally fix the mistakes. It was pretty glaring. It's just the last 10%. I don't know what happened there. Maybe the editor got tired, took a nap, thought they were done, forgot there were more pages. I don't really know. So just the last 10%, and y'all know that I am a little bit persnickety about editing in a book, so that really got to me. Last 2 notes. 1, not Gwen. I'm not gonna put any emotion into that, so you don't know what that means. And 2, at Damien, bruh. So A Shadow Crown also got 4 stars, a little bit because of the editing at the end. Not totally. I'm not really knocking off points for editing issues unless they're super glaring, but I just want to throw that in there. It got 4 stars because it was incredible, but I didn't find myself thinking about it day after day after I finished it. For me, if I can't stop thinking about a book, that's when it gets 5 stars. If I'm like, oh my God, that was so good, I can't wait to read the next one, but I'm not like actively thinking about it as I'm falling asleep or as I'm looking through my TBR, then it's a 4 star. So this is a 4 star for me. Yes, I'm getting better at rating books in a fair and consistent manner. And the 5 star for me, I have to be thinking about it afterwards. So that was A Shadow Crown. Okay, so after that, I read James, finally. My Libby hold came to fruition. Listen, I read James because I felt like it was something I needed to read. I felt like it was a cultural moment and I needed to make sure that I was paying attention. So if you don't know, James by Percival Everett is a Huckleberry Finn retelling. It is told from the perspective of Jim, the black man who is a runaway slave with Huckleberry Finn during the adventures. Okay, number 1. I hate slave stories. I don't like reading specifically black trauma. I do not mind if a black person experiences trauma that anybody else would experience, but specifically American slave trauma, black people being pulled over and harassed and killed by the cops, I do not want to read that. I don't. But I was like, maybe I'm just being a baby and I should just read James because everybody else is reading it and it's having a cultural impact and I feel like I should read it. Nah, reading about a slave being whipped really just is not it for me. It's not it for me. And I regret having told myself to read it. I regret it. I really do. And I don't, that might make me a certain type of person. Like there's definitely like, oh, you should read this for the culture or you should read this because it's important. And nope, it's not me. It's not me who needs to read that and understand it. Okay, it's not me. And I did not personally enjoy reading it. I think it is a very important piece of literature. I think that it is important for a lot of people to actually read it. I really do. I don't need to continue to brutalize myself by forcing myself to read things like this. There are people, both black and not, who certainly do need to read it because it is something that they need to digest and understand. It's just not me. But here's a quote that I pulled out from it. It says, "Because Huck, and I hope you hear this without thinking I'm crazy or joking, you are my son. I know, or like, I think that I was meant to feel something about that, but all I felt was some kind of way. And my immediate thought was, ew, no, Jim, ew." I don't remember from Huckleberry Finn if we knew or were told or thought Huckleberry was his son. I really don't remember because honestly, I read this in like 6th grade, or if this was just an imagining by Percival Everett. I don't know. I'm not sure. And I didn't even bother looking up to confirm or deny that for myself because I don't want to know because ew. So here's the thing. I struggled with giving this book a rating because I initially wanted to give it a 3 because I did not like reading it. I did not have a good experience reading it. But the actual art of the book is phenomenally well done. I thought it was incredibly well written. I thought that the message in it was well done. And it was just me personally who struggled to read it. So I didn't know what to rate this. But here's what I came up with after it was 3 days later and I was still thinking about the book. Can you guess? I gave it 5 stars. Here's your proof that I am bringing objectivity to my ratings now. I'm still not going to do a book report for you, okay? But 5 stars. Even though I personally hated reading it. And And here's the thing. Immediately after James, my Libby released The Water Dancer, also a slave story. So I thought for 3 days after I finished James about whether I was going to click on and open up The Water Dancer. And ultimately, I could not bring myself to read it. I couldn't bring myself to open it. I just couldn't do it. I don't want to read about slaves. So that was James. And also what happened to The Water Dancer. Then I read one more library checkout, physical library checkout, and that was Weird Black Girls. This is a short story collection of just weird shit. I couldn't even give you a synopsis of what this is about. I'm just gonna read you the review that I left when I finished the book, okay? I wrote a question mark, and then I gave it 2 stars. I came back later and I added this in a big parentheses. To avoid confusion, the question mark above is my review. Either this was too advanced for my small brain to understand, or it didn't make any sense whatsoever. All I have left is a question mark. 2 stars exclusively because, though it made no sense, the words put together in the manner that they were read very poetically. This wasn't even about black girls, not really. There were some black girls in there, but like, they weren't the main characters. They weren't even particularly weird. So I think the message was lost on me. I do apologize to, what's his name? The gentleman author. If I have just completely missed the mark here. I don't know what this book, I don't know what these stories were supposed to be telling me. I don't know what I was supposed to learn here. Yeah, I mean, I might just be too dumb. Or it could be that bad. I do not know. I could not say one way or the other. If anyone has read this collection of short stories, can you please let me know if it's me or if it's the book? But, you know, very well written. I just don't know what we're talking about. Yeah, Weird Black Girls. 2 stars. Sorry. Then for book club, I read, or I guess I should say we read, Harlem Rhapsody. Now listen, you know me in book club. I have to have the physical book because your girl likes to tab. Okay? Harlem Rhapsody is a new release. And what is the other thing that we all know about Sabrina? She does not like a hardcover book. Had no choice. If I wanted to annotate, I needed to get a hardcover book. So I got it. I'm telling you right now, I don't like holding hardcover books. They just, I don't know. It's a sensory problem for me. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. I don't have a good time reading out of a hardcover book. That is still true. but I made it through. I made it through this book. So Harlem Rhapsody is a historical fiction, and it is about, you think I would have her name memorized because they say full names so much in this book. Jessie Redmond Faucette, there we go, who was the literary editor of W.E.B. Du Bois, his magazine, The Crisis. It is, I mean, it's a historical fiction. It is based on true shit. It is messy AF. Okay? That is what I want to say about this book. It is messy. Jessie and W.E.B. and here's the thing. I spent so much time with them. I feel like I'm on a friendship level and I can call him W.E.B. like his friends do. And I don't, the amount of time that I spent being like, girl, what? Mostly I'm trying to imagine a world where calling my friend by 3 letters as their standard address is not complicated. I mean, I'm going to start calling all my friends by 3 initials and see how that works out because it's weird. I mean, I get that he was W.E.B. Du Bois, but like, that's weird. Why don't we just call you W? I wrote a note about chapter 44. What happened in chapter 44? Oh, this is so funny. I wrote a note in my phone about chapter 44, the end of it. And in my book, I have highlighted something. This is Jessie. She's saying, my cracked steel heart is drawn to him, as if to a magnet. I want to fight, but I'm no match for the force that draws me inexorably to this man. So I do what I've always done. I stand, too. And I follow Will, even as I know it's impossible for this to end well for me. Raggedy. I wrote in the book, raggedy. Raggedy. Absolutely raggedy. Because the way this man drugged this woman through life, through her entire life, he's married. This is his main mistress, apparently. And it's like, for him, he's like, you're the one that I was destined to be with. But like, I'm already married, so we're just gonna do this thing on the side. And every time she got the courage to walk away from that BS, he pulled her back in. Now she went, but he pulled her back in. I wrote, Will is a raggedy excuse of a man. Okay? Because if you find that you are married to someone and you desperately love somebody else, you need to just go ahead and get a divorce and get with that other person. And I just don't appreciate that he drug our girl through the depths of hell and back. Raggedy. He's raggedy. That is the summation of this book. We didn't need to call it Harlem Rhapsody. It's Harlem Raggedy. That's what this book is about because W.E.B. was raggedy. He's a great, prolific man, writer, thinker, movement leader, but he's raggedy. Yeah, the book is messy. In fact, one of my tabs is actually just messy. Every time I put an orange tab, messy. I mean, yeah. You should read this. You really should because it was a good read, even if you have to read it in hardcover. And I'll just say, shout out to Jessie's mama because Miss Ma'am was like, no. Oh, the messiest mess that ever must. Oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry. This is the part where Jessie's talking about how she wants to give Will, W.E.B., and his wife a 25th anniversary wedding party. I'm trying to imagine. I'm with my dude and he has a wife. And I'm going to throw them a 25-year anniversary party. I mean, what does that look like? Am I going to text her about like matching, like are we going to wear matching dresses? I'm trying, imagine it with me. That is the messiest mess I have ever in my life. I can't even. An anniversary party for my boyfriend and his wife. I declare. And the anniversary party is a real thing that happened. 4 stars. 4 stars for the mess. Lastly, I read book 2 in the Shatter Me series. This one's called Unravel Me. Listen, I know this is a YA, and I have to keep reminding myself that it was YA, but Juliet is a child. She behaves like a child, and I would like to smack her, okay? Because she's getting on my nerves. They're all getting on my nerves, but especially Juliet. My God. The world is ending, baby. Like, can you get it together? Can you not be focused on yourself for just like 2 seconds? Please? Is that too much? I'm asking too much. Okay, I'm asking too much. All right, okay. at one point they have all these expectations for her, and I guess it's only been like 2 or 3 weeks, and they're expecting that she's gonna be this like well-adjusted person, and they're like, you've not adjusted to social life here. Like, of course she's not. She's never had social life. Bestie Cece's calling me. I'm gonna have to call her right back. They just have expectations for her, and these expectations are wild, okay? Like beyond wild. So there's also a point in the book where they're like keeping a secret from her, and I really don't know why. The secret is about her relationship with our boy. I feel like my headband is like falling off my head. You guys are just making the situation worse. Just freaking tell her what the hell is going on. If you don't, I will tell her. Okay, tell me, and then I will tell her. I'll help everybody out, because I'll let her know. I'll be like, girl, this is what happened, okay? Okay, bestie, so we're gonna work through it and you're gonna be fine. The number one rule of Fight Club is that you don't talk about Fight Club, and Bestie Juliet is on the internet writing a blog post about it. All the details of Fight Club just on her blog. She might as well make a YouTube channel at this point. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Like, make a YouTube channel and call it Secrets of the Resistance, because why are you doing this? And like, that's not even what happened. That's not a spoiler, that's an analogy. So just, okay. But I thought it was a really good one, so I thought I'd share that with you. I will say that I do love Kenji as a character. There was one point where I felt bad for laughing at like a really highly emotionally charged thing that happened to Juliet, and I was like laughing. I laughed out loud when I read it, and I felt bad because I was like, oh, I mean, she's a child. Remember, she's a child. Her prefrontal cortex is not fully developed yet. But then I turned the page and Kenji was laughing at her, like on the very next page, and I'm like, right, because that's what it's funny. It was funny. Poor thing. Overall, I am enjoying the story, and like, girl, I guess I want to see how the story ends. But do I have to read 26 more books of that headache repeating the same 3 phrases over and over and over? This probably could have been a trilogy if we cut out all the repetitive words. And I understand that that is a chosen writing style, but I've had enough. I am 2 books and a novella deep, and I've had enough. So I am gonna finish it. I do want to know what happens, but I think I need a break from the prose. I need a break from the repetitive writing and from Juliet being a child. I'm ready for her to grow up. Can there be a time jump? That'd be good with me. You know, those were my thoughts on that. And what did I rate that? I gave it 3 stars. It was neither great nor bad. Anyway, those were my April reads. I will say that I basically stuck to my TBR for April. If you go back and watch my TBR video, I pretty much stuck to that, and I don't feel stressed out by the number of books that I read. And I'll say, like, when I read an excessive amount of books, I don't feel stressed out in the moment. But then when I go back and look at it, I'm like, that's a lot of books, bestie. So don't do that again. I have to tell myself, don't do that again. And then I do it again. So, but anyway, if you made it this far, thank you for hanging out with me and going over those books with me. Let me know if you've read any of those books, what you thought about them, and I'll see you in the next video.